Hello everybody, my name is John Malash and I am with Mellotel. I'd like to take the next little bit to explain to you DaFeeder and what DaFeeder is. So DaFeeder is a simple to use web-based telemarketing platform that allows even the most inexperienced computer user to manage campaign dialing, dispositions, callbacks, and even marketing. So it delivers a feature-rich set of processes that enhances effectiveness, drives sales, improves customer satisfaction, and provides insight into performance. For some companies, their employees are required to dial various phone numbers throughout the day manually, and it may not sound like a big deal, but dialing time when added up over the course of days and weeks can be astronomical. Now, imagine being that rep who needs to dial every 10-digit phone number the old-fashioned way. That could literally lead up to 5 to 10,000 finger push-ups every single week. And unfortunately, that workout does not do as much for your figure as we might hope. And it also wastes production and time and value. So what does that mean for your business? Wasted time manually dialing means wasted opportunities to make more contacts that convert into actual sales. So allow me to introduce one of Mellotel's staple products, DaFeeder Preview Dialer. So this is our login screen where all of your representatives would visit your custom URL for your organization and get access to the DaFeeder. If they forget their password, they can automatically reset it. First thing we see when we log into the DaFeeder is this pop-up that asks you to set your extension. Now this is a feature that can be enabled or disabled for your organization, allowing your users to automatically set, when they first log in, their hot desk. So the hot desk is, when a representative sits at another workstation every single day or every so often, they can set the extension that they're sitting at. So you log in, you set the extension for the desk that you're sitting at, and that's where you start to receive your calls. Now, the main controls up here at the top in the navigation, not all of these will be available to all users. This is based off permissions, and different roles inside the system have different access points. And I'm going to get into all the controls in probably a different video, and now just focus on with you some of the basics. So the main thing is the feeding. So this big square that you see here in the window is our feeding page. This is where a representative would select from the dropdown an available campaign to them, select the campaign, the lead loads, and now they have a lead to be able to call. I'll orient you on the screen here and how it works. Up at the top here, you'll see Add Lead. Over here, you'll see a drop down for the different campaigns that are available to any particular representative. I'll only see campaigns that are assigned to me specifically. On the right here, you'll see manual and auto feed, and manual dial and auto dial. These two have important functions. Manual dial is the most popular. Mainly what it means is that when a lead is presented, like it was here for me, it will automatically dial the number instead of requiring me to click the call button. So the call button, all it does is initiate the call to the phone itself, and that's how we do the integration to the telephony. Now, this feeder page is broken up into two parts. We have the general lead information, lead history area, and then over here on the right, we have the add notes, your dispositions. So I'll start with the description on the left side here to explain what the general lead information is and what the lead history is. General lead information is going to provide you with a number of things. It's going to tell the agent how many calls they've made for the day, this time, or how many times this lead has been called by anybody at any time, the last disposition for this lead as well. So if it's been called by somebody else, what was the last disposition? It's very handy when going into a lead, as well as the unique lead ID in the DaFeeder. So anytime you import a lead into the DaFeeder, we provide it with a DaFeeder ID, and that would be the DaFeeder ID for it. As well, then you'll start to get into your lead information. So these are the fields which you have imported by CSV into a campaign inside the DaFeeder. So the field names will be determined by what you import them as, in which case a phone number, anything that has phone in it, will automatically initiate the call button here on the right. Then you have the cell phone, which is blank. Fields that are empty can be imported, no problem, and you can add to the field simply by clicking on it, entering the info, and then clicking on the checkbox. and now it's been saved to the lead. So you've basically updated it. I can get in more about what these special drop downs are. These are things that you can make for your different campaigns. So if you want to select language, or if you want to update the lead with specific information that you want to capture on the call, this can all be done quite easily. As well on the screen, which has been hidden so far, is your call script. So up above here, you'll see Show Call Script. And anytime you mouse over it, you'll see it shows your script. Every campaign has its own unique script, and you as an owner can create this script for your representative as a reference point for their telemarketing initiative. So it's as simple as just mousing over and you see the script. Now, in this case, there is a script with just text, but you can add pictures, you can add buttons, you could add forms, you can really add anything you like to the script itself. It's up to you. Now, the second part of the tab here is lead history. Lead history actually provides you with the information regarding the lead that you're currently viewing and the timeline for everything that's taken place with it. So you'll see here at the bottom is the oldest. This is when Murad was actually fed the campaign, or fed the lead from the campaign. And that was at 5 o'clock. And then shortly after, he made a telephone call to that number, and then he placed a callback for it. The callback was not available. Now, a public callback and a private callback are a little different. Public callbacks go back to all the other representatives that might be available during that time. Then he added a mandatory note, because not available requires you to add a note, and that's what this was over here, so no answer. Then again, it was fed to somebody else. A call was initiated. Another disposition is not as available. And now Melitel has actually fed the lead from the campaign because I'm the next available representative. And that's how the disposition lead history works. It'll show you hopefully everything that happens with the lead. So in the event you want to know what transpired with it, it's all going to be here. It also records if you make changes to the lead information. It'll all be there for you. Now let's move to the right side of the page. We're going to see the details for leaving a note and dispositions. So notes are very simple. They're different statuses of notes: normal, high, urgent, and stick to top. They have different priorities in the way that they post to the system. So I'll just add a quick stick to top, and you'll see that it goes to the top automatically. It's a different color, and it'll always be on the top, even if I add another note underneath it. Dispositions is a really important part of the DaFeeder. In fact, it's the most critical part of the DaFeeder, and using it properly is very important, such as with any type of calling platform. So being able to classify what happened with the lead itself. So I made a phone call to this particular customer and something happened. The customer was not available. In this case, what I'm going to do is disposition the lead is not available, and you'll see it'll prompt me with what are called sub-dispositions. And it's going to ask me, well, why isn't it available? Well, it's not available because no answer. Or it's not available because DM not available, or other. I can leave a different reason as to why they're not available. The other opportunities that I have are custom dispositions that are defined by administration. So you can make all dispositions do different things. You can have it transfer to somebody else. You can have it transfer to Slack. You can mark it as not interested so it doesn't get called anymore, or gets called back in 3 months or something different. Do not call will take the lead out of the system so that nobody else calls it. Scheduling a callback is straightforward. You could choose between public and private callbacks, set your callback day and time, and then leave a little note for it, whether it's a callback, follow-up, promise, or other, and leave that note. Now, once you've gone ahead and done your dispositions, hopefully you'll have some callbacks to do, or if you didn't make the sale the first time, maybe you'll get it next time. Now, in this case, I've scheduled a few callbacks, so I can actually go back to my calendar here and be able to see callbacks. Actually, I didn't set a callback. My apologies. Let me go back to the feeder here and set a quick callback. So we'll set a private callback for tomorrow, and we'll just say callback. Now I get a new lead because I'm still in the campaign, and that's how it works. When you're done with a lead, you get another one. So here I am in the calendar, and I should see my callback available to me. When looking at the calendar, you'll see that it looks just like a regular calendar. And if I had a bunch of callbacks today, they would all be in the list here. When I mouse over, you'll see I didn't leave any specific notes. It's just, a general callback that I have set. It'll show me the time that the callback is set for, who the company is, who the agent is, as well as which campaign it was for. And then I can, if it's time to call it back, I can click on it. It'll open the lead, and now I'll be able to prospect it the same way that I would typically. In the lead history, you'll see here Mellotel direct feed from calendar. So that's the benefit of lead history as well, letting you know everything that transpires with a specific lead. So I've had an opportunity to show you how the feeding works for a representative. Real quickly, what I want to get into is to show you a little bit about campaigns. In campaigns, you can get all kinds of really neat information. You can get pie charts based off the results of the campaign, how it's broken down, how many open leads closed, in progress, how many conversions. You can set your dispositions accordingly. You can see, how certain dispositions like callback, not available, not interested. And you can create these different names for dispositions on your own. So it's dynamic. That's how it works. It also allows you to be able to top up a campaign. So if you have a campaign that's permanent and stays, and from time to time you want to add leads to it, you can top up your campaign by first downloading your template, modifying the template to include your leads, and then import it over top of your existing, and then they become available leads. Sometimes you want to recycle your campaign. So when you recycle a campaign, you're basically taking the disposition that was set for a lead and erasing it so that it will actually present as an open lead for your representatives to call again. So in the event that you had a bunch of not availables or not interesteds, or you want to try the invalids again, you can go ahead and recycle those, and then they become available to your representatives again. Reports or exports in XLS format. So this will export the campaign with different details about the campaign. So if you want to export everything, a basic report, leads that are in progress, events, appointments, what's happened today, what happened yesterday. As well, when looking at the list of campaigns, you see the mouse over here provides you with a list of the users that are assigned to this particular campaign, shows you when it was created, who made it, as well as the caller ID. Real quickly, I'll go into the actual campaign itself and show you some of the settings that can actually be set for a campaign. So first thing is the name of the campaign, your general script. Here you set your caller ID name and your telephone number. What's neat about dynamic caller ID insertion is that when you can set a different caller ID for each campaign that you're working. So if you're calling for one campaign that calls businesses or individuals in one province, you can modify the caller ID to reflect a telephone number that you have in that particular province. And as your representatives make calls, they don't have to change the caller ID based off the lead that they're calling in the campaign that they're calling it through. The caller ID will be set automatically. Here you determine recording on or off. So in this case, they have recording turned on for representatives. As well, here you'll see email marketing. There are dispositions that will trigger an email marketing to your contacts. So if you reach out to somebody and they say, oh, send me an email, you can actually send them a predefined email template that's created for that specific campaign. A little bit further below, you'll see assigned users. This is where you assign which users have access to the actual campaign itself. Then you'll see your campaign fields. Campaign fields are basically what fields you want to import into the DaFeeder as part of the campaign, the reference points for your representatives. And then you have field types. So types are really important because you have the ability to be able to create fields, and fields are drop downs of specific menu options that your reps can select and assign for or to classify this particular lead. So in some case, here's an example, current processor. Well, current processor, we'll change it to a field that we have called current processor. And then when the representative sees the list, they'll be able to select from a drop down of options that you've given them to be able to classify that particular lead. And then when you're done, you can make the changes by saving those changes. So something else I want to get into real quick is also looking at your, let's see, what can I show you? Dispositions. So another really important part about dispositions is understanding how dispositions work. And they perform specific functions. So all dispositions have a number of different functions that they can do. So one would be like, if I set this, no more calls. If I set this, set a public callback. If I set this, set a private callback. If I set a manual language, so that goes to a language barrier queue for representatives that are classified as barrier queue, and they can follow up on those people that speak French or different languages. Email marketing, so this will trigger the email that's assigned to the campaign. Transfer to Slack, actually integrates to Slack and sends the lead and information to particular users in Slack. The other is email CRM push. So if they push this option, I want it to send the manager an email that contains all of the lead information as if they're actually interested for follow-up. As well, there are many different things. You can add the number to your do not call list so that they don't get calls anymore. You can choose if this disposition is available to representatives when they're doing a callback or not, and whether or not this disposition classifies as a conversion or not. So how you set up your disposition is totally up to you. We're happy to help explain exactly how it works. One other really cool thing that you can do about dispositions is, like I showed you earlier, not available can have sub-disposition notes. So when you click on notes, what you see are the sub-dispositions. So when they click on not available, the representative has to choose, well, why aren't they available? In this case, we have no answer and DM not available. We can add another one very easily to ensure that we're classifying and copying the information as to why they're not available for future use. Now, since we're here, one more thing I'm going to show you is just the settings area. There are a few settings here that are really important. Mainly is the extension prefix. This is what determines the calls to your phone system. The integration API key for your phone system to DaFeeder. Then you also see SMTP. This is where you actually set the credentials to use for your outgoing email settings. So when the DaFeeder sends emails on behalf of your organization, use your own SMTP. Feeding allows you to be able to determine when your representatives are allowed to make calls and not make calls. So you can set parameters here like, we'll never call after 9, so I don't want somebody to be able to do it by accident. Then we have integration to Slack. Then we have a few options here to be able to set your display types. Nonetheless, one thing that's really important to recognize is that DaFeeder is a well-documented and supported system by Mellotel. DaFeeder is amazing, and I think that it's going to revolutionize the way that you actually do your telemarketing efforts, your donation efforts, your campaigning efforts. However you choose to use this platform, it's very versatile, and I believe that we are the right choice. So please take your time to watch this video again if you want. Give us a call to talk about DaFeeder and how it can benefit your business, and we'll be happy to get you set up and get you using DaFeeder as soon as possible. Thank you for taking the time, and hopefully you got some value from this, and we'll talk to you soon.